this is effectively working with your sponsor, and this is not exactly how we wanted to spend our KLC time together, but we're making the best of what we can. So we're going to do this virtually. So we're going to kick off this sponsor with first introducing your staff members here with us. For 2020, we're going to start with me. My name is Ashleigh Boyd. I am from Dover, Kansas. Currently, I'm living in Emporia, Kansas, and I'm a junior at Emporia State University. I am majoring in elementary education. I am minoring in trauma-informed and counseling services. I attended Santa Fe Trail High School in Carbondale, Kansas, where I was the president for our KAY club for 3 years. This is my third year on KLC staff, but in high school, I was a KLC camper for 3 years also. And since this session is all about ways to work with your sponsor, my favorite way to show sponsor appreciation, and I was lucky in high school. I had the best sponsor ever in the history of ever, and people may say that I'm wrong, but I'm not, I promise. She was the greatest. Her name was Mrs. Burgett. And my favorite way to show her appreciation was to do it daily, little things, just a simple smile or a thank you or a hug. And I personally make the best no-bake cookies ever. So I would make her little bags of cookies and send them to her, and it was just the little things that were my favorite.
All right, I'm the next person here working on your session. I'm Angie Etheredge. I teach Honors English 1 and 3 at Cape and Mount Carmel High School, and then I'm also the sponsor of our K Club there. In high school, I was part of the Independence K Club, and I was fortunate enough to be able to be our club secretary 1 year, and then I was president for 2 years, and then also had the opportunity to be Area 6 president. I got to spend 3 wonderful years at KLC, and then over time I've been able to spend 18 summers helping out with our leadership camp, and so I'm excited to be here even if it is virtually. My 2 sponsors at Independence were Miss Willis and Miss Jane. They were an awesome duo that worked together, and I'm kind of like Ashleigh. I always try to make a point to say thank you, thanks for being at this meeting, thanks for doing what you did, whether it was notes or just passing in the hall, or I had them as teachers as well too, but just saying thank you. And as a sponsor, that means the world to me, that a kiddo will say thank you for helping out, thanks for being here, because it just makes me know that my time was valued and I'm appreciated.
Okay, and I'm the last person for this session. My name is Liza Ward from Hoisington, Kansas. Currently, I'm a sophomore at the Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York, majoring in biology with a minor in sign language and deaf cultural studies. In high school, I was president at my K Club for 3 years. I was lucky enough to be a KLC camper for 5. This is my 2nd year on staff. My favorite way to show sponsor appreciation to my sponsor, Mrs. Steinert, was to simply do my part. And if I said I was going to do something, I made sure I did it. That way I wasn't causing her any extra stress by having it fall back on her, and she really knew that I was there and that I cared.
All right, so this session is actually broken up into 3 different sections, and we'll put up this roadmap. So if you want to, maybe in a couple of days, you want to relook at this, and maybe you just want to look at a certain section, you can look for these roadmap pieces. It just gives you a general outline of what we'll cover in each of those 3 pieces. Our first piece here is our K Club. This is our club, everybody doing their part. You've got your sponsor, who is your link to your administration, to make sure that what you are doing in your club is okayed by the administration. And then your sponsor is the link to your president, who's then linked to the board, and the board linked to your club. So we're all linked together here. And so to being able to do our own part and be responsible for that, we keep that chain going, and we make it even a better club when we're all in and doing our stuff together. So we're going to be looking at club assessment. Some of you have have a club that has been here for years, and some of you are in a club that maybe just started, or maybe it's a new sponsor. So I want you to just take a mental moment here and just think in your head, what kind of sponsor do you have? Because this is your link. This is who's going to link you to the admin, link to your club, to your board. And so think about what kind of sponsor you have. And I'm going to pull up some slides here to kind of give you some maybe major types of sponsors and see if you can't link to one of those. So here's our first one. You're one of those lucky folks that has the new sponsor, and maybe this person doesn't know what KAY is all about. So you've got someone that's brand new to your position, this position. Maybe you've got a sponsor that just might not connect, maybe seems out of touch. You know, we could knit sweaters. Well, maybe that's something that isn't being done right now. Maybe there's other things, but maybe this person just doesn't seem to connect as well as some of your other teachers or faculty. Maybe you've got a do nothing sponsor. This one just sort of says, hey, plan it and I'll show up, do whatever you want. You might have that type of sponsor. Do you have a do it all sponsor where you turn around and the things are already done? And maybe you don't have as much of a say in what things need to get done, or your sponsor does it for you and doesn't maybe give you that opportunity to do it on your own. Maybe you have a don't have the time sponsor. The sponsor seems always busy, can't make it to meetings, asks if a parent can show up and maybe chaperone, or says, hey, I can't, but the teacher down the hall will be able to. Maybe you have one of these types of sponsors. And then maybe you are fortunate to have the perfect sponsor. This is the one who is with you all the way, is a guide, letting you do things, letting you take opportunities to hone those leadership skills. You might have the perfect sponsor, right? So these are some of the major ones, and maybe you have a sponsor that has a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But, you know, sometimes that can be a challenge to get your whole club going, especially if you don't have maybe as a supportive of a sponsor as some other clubs might. So we're going to go through maybe a few tips here that can help you out with those challenges. And as we go through these, Liza and Ashleigh may chime in here and there with some other things that might come to their minds too. All right, so we've got that new sponsor, that one that doesn't know anything, just came, maybe fresh to the school building. There are a few things that you can do. Every club has a KAY handbook. It is the reference book of the world for KAY. In that is chock full of ideas, calendars, things that need to be done, ideas. If you can't locate that, that might be something to email Cheryl about and saying we can't find our school KAY handbook, so she can get on board and maybe help that sponsor get one so that sponsor can have that. Call Cheryl, text Cheryl, email Cheryl. Let her know that you have a new sponsor. Cheryl works hard to get a mentor, somebody else around your area to work with that new sponsor to help them out with questions and things. So it's a nice way that you can check up on that new sponsor, make sure that they're getting the info that they need for your club. And then just communicate. You know, don't assume that this sponsor knows what to do. Ask if you can help them out, point them in the right direction, or you can say, hey, last year we did this, what do you think? Can we do it again? And just have meetings, just you, your board, and your sponsor, whether that's in person, it's Zoom, just so you can let your sponsor know your ideas, because communication is very, very key. Okay. Liza, Ashleigh, any other things that you have about the new sponsor?
One thing I do want to point out is that the KAY handbook is also online. So if you go to the KSHA website and click the KAY link under non-athletic, the KAY handbook is online. So it's always a good option to have.
There we go. Thanks, Ashley.
I did
All
have
right.
a new sponsor, but I was lucky. She was a KAY member in high school, so she had somewhat of an idea. And some sponsors may never have been in case before, so you just have to maybe teach them what it's about and help them along the way.
There we go. And Liza brings up a great thing. If you have a sponsor that was involved in KAY for them in their high school, utilize, ask them, what did you do when you were in high school? And you might have a wealth of new ideas that could be done that you might not have even thought of. So using that extra knowledge can be great. And maybe the new sponsor doesn't know how you run things, how things have been done. Well, it's great to keep some traditions, and maybe you want to because of what's been done at your school. You know, you can always still be open to even new ideas, but let your sponsor know what you've done ahead, so there's no hurt feelings if something doesn't get done that year that's been traditional. Communicate. Okay, you might have that out of touch sponsor, that one that wants to do activities that you're like, we just don't do that anymore. Again, that KAY handbook might provide new ideas, maybe updated ideas for you. Sit down, have a meeting, say, hey, we'd like to change some things. And here are some ideas that we, the board, have come up with that we'd like to do. If that's still not working out, ask assistance. Maybe there's another teacher that could sit in on a meeting, or might be a nice mediator, or a principal or somebody in your administration. You could say, hey, we want to bounce some new ideas off, and we just might feel a little more comfortable if we had some other people in the room or some other voices to help make sure our message is getting across. Those are some things too that you could use for what we might call the out of touch sponsor. Other ideas, Liza, Ashley?
I think you covered it pretty well.
All right. The do nothing sponsor. This might fall into the same things as your out of touch. Maybe your person doesn't have enough time. And that, you know, and sometimes it's hard to say that I need to cut back. Maybe there's not enough people in your building to be sponsors. But maybe there's something underlying that you might not know. So maybe this might be another time to sit down with the principal, express what your concerns, go to another teacher in the building that you feel might be a great go-between. Maybe you recruit another teacher, like, hey, come help us out, come to this meeting, or participate in this event, get to know KAY, and maybe bring those folks together and invite them to see what KAY is, and maybe offer some help to your sponsor, or see what might be the underlying reason why the sponsor doesn't seem to be able to do anything with you. Contact Cheryl. She, again, is another person that can offer some assistance. She might be able to help you out, or talk with the principal of, you know, saying, hey, we would really like to have a sponsor that's a little more involved. Can you help us out? You know, reaching out and communicating. That's going to be the best thing. Get your ideas out there. Okay. All right. On the opposite end, you got the do-it-all sponsor. All right. What could you do here? Again, sitting down, communicating with the sponsor. You can see communication is really key here. And talk about maybe giving you some chances at leading some things. Offer to do something. You know, if you have a project out, say, hey, I'd like to do notes. I've already got some paper and we've already started writing some things. Maybe offer or have some things maybe already started. So then you can kind of show your sponsor that, hey, I'm taking some initiative. We're doing this. We didn't want you to have to worry about it. We've got it set. Talk to the principal, ask for a sit-down meeting, and just kind of express your concerns. You want to be part of this, and you want your sponsor Maybe you just want some chances to be able to do some things. And that's quite all right. But the key thing here is communication. Okay. Liza, Ashleigh, anything on those last two that you might have to add?
I just want to stress the fact that yes, communication is very important, very key, but effective communication is important, and knowing how to properly communicate with them. So one of the things you don't want to do is come off maybe a little sassy or a little too spicy and completely break that relationship that you have with your sponsor or even the administration. So maybe going to a mentor that you have that you look up to someone and asking, how do I communicate these frustrations? Or how do I properly tell you how I feel without coming off as too mean or too frontal about it?
Very good point.
I definitely agree with that. I also think a huge resource for everybody is us staff members. If you ever have a question or you need any help, you can always reach out to one of us and we'd be more than happy to give any advice that we have.
There we go. All right, kind of going on the do nothing or don't have time, or do it all, you might have the don't have time sponsor. Okay, again, there might be some underlying issues that might be contributing to that. And so as Ashleigh said, approaching very nicely, you might say, hey, I've noticed that maybe you've seemed a little stressed. I've noticed that we didn't get our last meeting it didn't get scheduled. Is there anything that I can do? Is there anything that the board can do that might help you have time or keep things posted on a calendar? It might be just nicely asking, what can you do? Or is there something that's in the way? Or it might be this person is on the prom committee and that's taking some time away from KAY. But you can always offer, what can I do? What can our club do? What can our board do that might help? Again, finding a principal, finding a trusted teacher in the building that you might be able to approach and say, how do I say this? Or it seems like our sponsor doesn't have enough time for our club. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Can you help out? You could also contact Cheryl as well too. But a lot of what we've said previously, you could also use here, reaching out to staff from K Club, reaching out to those trusted folks that you have in your building. But it all comes down to effective communication and communicating. You don't want those things to just fester. You want to have it come out. And then you've got your perfect sponsor. While you might not have a challenge, you always want to make sure that you continue to communicate and you show appreciation. And appreciation just doesn't go to the perfect sponsor, but appreciation to even the do nothing, the I do it all, to the new sponsor. Always constantly say thank you, or thank you for letting me know that you've had a busy week. Thank you for trying to learn how we do things at this school. Thank you for taking the time to talk or to listen, but always showing that appreciation, because even though this perfect sponsor might have the right balance, they too also need to know that they're appreciated. Okay. All right, any other final thoughts, Ashleigh and Liza? All right, so we're going to move on here. So that communication you heard often, and we're going to continue on that because we want to communicate and appreciate our sponsors, but we also want to even look at those other links as well too, those administrators and things. And so I'm going to turn it over to my other staff members.
Hey guys, one of the things that I think is most important for effective sponsor communication is to make sure you're contacting your sponsor at least once a week. Just touching base and saying, hey, how are we going on this project? Or I noticed we don't have a meeting scheduled coming up. Is there a day that works best for you? Just showing that you are taking that initiative to talk to them is really important. And if they don't contact you, contact them, because it shows that you're interested. Utilize a communication method that works best for everyone. There's so many options for communicating as a club and just with your sponsor one-on-one. You can text, email. A lot of clubs like Google Calendar or Google Classroom. If you have a K bulletin board, make sure you're still utilizing that. Find what's best for your club. Ashleigh or Angie, is there a method of communication that works best for you guys?
I know currently at Capon, one of the apps that has worked really well, we did Remind a few years back, but GroupMe seems to be the app that has been most effective for our group. And then we also will send notes through the school as well too. So they'll get them in the classroom, and sometimes just having that slip of paper in your hand was really helpful, as well as having a notification pop up on your phone from GroupMe.
And this might sound a little funny, but Snapchat. Oftentimes when you get your sponsor involved in Snapchat, they find it amazing that they can send you pictures and you can come respond with pictures. So it's a great way for that connection that you can get with your sponsor. So Snapchat is an option. So don't rule them out, even though they're not part of your generation.
One thing that we did, we used our school announcement page in Hoisington. So if the daily announcements were sent out and we had something to put in, just a quick reminder, hey, there's a club meeting this week, or don't forget about this service project tomorrow, that can also be a great tool. So don't forget about that. Get all of your members excited. So if you have a lot of members who are excited and they're contacting your sponsor saying, hey, I want to do this, or what do you think about this idea? They're not going to be able to resist. The motivation is going to rub off on them, and they're going to be super excited, and they're really going to be on board for all these ideas that you have. So say, hey, we have this idea. What do you think about this? Or when can we get this scheduled? And then you'll be able to plan as many things as you possibly can and use all of your members, and it'll be great. Like I said earlier, to make sure you do your part and not overwhelm your sponsor. So if you take on, say, hey, I can do this, I'll be there, make sure you do that, because if you don't, then it shows that your sponsor that you don't really care, and then they may have to take over it and it could overwhelm them, or maybe your president would have to take it over and they already have a lot of things that they signed up to do. So if you say that, hey, I can help with this, things happen and you may not be able to cover it, but tell somebody ahead of time and don't just be a no-show. Next thing is, it's okay to start small with your projects throughout the school year. You don't need to start with some big, crazy, takes months of planning project for your first project. Show your sponsor that you're dedicated and that you have dedicated members, and then you can gradually build up to those larger projects that you really like to do. For sponsor appreciation, there's a little email picture of what it would be like just to send your sponsor a quick little email. Takes 2 minutes, and it could be something that they really appreciate, to know that what they're doing is noticed. So a small thank you note or an email is great. Sign up to make goodie bags, like your board can do them, or have a couple other people from your club sign up, make cupcakes. You could do like a sponsor appreciation dinner, and somebody brings drinks and somebody brings plates, and just kind of have a potluck dinner. Like I said earlier, make sure you're doing your part, and they'll really appreciate that. And a lot of people overlook it, but a simple thank you can really go a long way, and it does mean a lot. Angie or Ashleigh, do you have anything to add with that?
All of those are great. Speaking on the sponsor side, just hearing that thank you, and even if it's just an email, that's even so much better than not hearing anything at all. There's some sponsors that they're giving up of a lot of their time, or maybe they have a little bit of a busier schedule, and just hearing that thank you makes it all the much more worth it. And if somebody feels appreciated, they'll become more invested in your event. They'll come more invested into your club. And then they're on board and excited to do things when they know they're appreciated.
The same thing kind of goes for administration appreciation. Without them, you really wouldn't be able to have a club. So it's really important that you let them know that, hey, thank you for your support in allowing us to do this last week, or thanks for stopping by our meeting. It really means a lot. We'd love to have you join us for our next service project. Find out their favorite things, maybe give them a little note that says, hey, what's your favorite drink? What's your favorite candy? What's your favorite color? And then make them a little gift basket or something like that. A simple thank you can still go a long way with them. Like Angie said, it does mean a lot to them, and it shows that you really do appreciate them, and it'll hopefully encourage them to keep on helping you and being encouraging. And then you can also do a thank you card or email. If you have a card, maybe you could have your whole club sign it, or the board members, or anything like that. And just something to let them know that they're appreciated and that you do notice.
And coming on the teacher side, just for administration, by saying thank you goes really a long way. The more that you put K Club in front of your principal, in front of maybe your board of education, if you're in a smaller district and they kind of meet in the same place, or you have other admin folks in your building, whether assistant principals or things, the more that you put KAY and you keep saying, thank you for this, thank you for letting us do our project, thank you for doing this, the more they'll remember KAY. And so when it comes down to, if there's where a principal has to make cuts, well, if KAY has done so many things and KAY has said thank you, then it's a way that you ensure that KAY is going to be a program that stays at your school and that people want it to be at your school, and they look forward to all the things that KAY does. So the more, I like to say, little tokens you put in the basket, the better that your group is. And maybe it might come where there's extra monies. Well, KAY does so much. Let's give that club some extra money because they do so much for us. And the administration will know that you will always be very thankful for it. So it can go both ways. It can help you out, and it can build those bonds with your administration as well too. All right, so speaking of administration support, we really do need it. They're the folks that are running our buildings, running our schools. And so let's talk a little bit about the administration support. Here's kind of our roadmap here of some things to do, and maybe some of you encounter some challenges with your administration. So Ashleigh's going to kind of run through a little bit there for you.
All right, I hope you have your notepads out, taking notes, because we are rocking and rolling through this session. So we talked about how important administration is. So one thing we can do is help administration understand KAY. So one of the things on this slideshow is, I love this quote, and it's people support what they help create. I use this quote in a lot of aspects of my life that I learned from KAY. And this really takes hold of the administration, because if you take KAY to them and you get your administration involved in KAY and you show them what they are all about, they are more willing to support KAY. And this is going to sound a little funny to you, but administration loves when their school has a lot of positive views from the community and from everything like that. And so as soon as administration finds out that that's what KAY does, and KAY is a huge ball of positivity, and they spread that positivity across the community, and then they're going to get positive feedback to the school, they're going to be even more willing to support you guys. So take KAY to them and get them involved and invite them to things. You can put posters around the school for events, put events in the bulletin, the announcements, invite yearbook staff and newspaper staff to events. One of the greatest things that we did at Santa Fe Trail was we were in Osage County, and we had all of our KY stuff in the Osage County paper, so even more of the community saw what was going on. So if you invite all those local newspapers and local media, it makes your club that more important, which is literally forcing your administration to see what KAY does and how important it is. Take pictures, take lots of pictures. And hashtag us. We have a lot of hashtags going on. One of them right now is hashtag be the spark and hashtag be active, be kind. So use it, spread your pictures like wildfire across social media, hashtag it, connect your pictures, and make your club important. It is, so now make it and show it. And then you take those pictures and directly send them to your administration. Directly send them. Take it to them in front of their face where they cannot ignore KAY. So now they can't ignore it. Now what? So now you want to keep them involved. So we're going to go back to the previous slide one more time. And we're going to send invites to everything. Invite administration to your meetings, invite them to your events, invite them to your membership drives that you have coming up. Send them invited. This will make your club stand out, and it'll make your administration feel important. And then they'll be like, oh, KAY thinks of me? That's weird. I'm going to start thinking more of KAY. So do it. The more they are involved and the more they understand, the more they will support you. So we're going to move right along into the importance of keeping administration informed. So they literally can't support what they don't know. So you have to inform your administration of everything KAY is doing, what is going on, and everything in between. So administration can be a huge support for you in your club, but you have to keep them informed and involved. They have to know what's going on, where it's going on, and why it's going on. So always put that why with your what. And administration gives you permission to use the school, to use the resources, to use the staff. They do a lot for you, but if they don't know what they're doing or why they're doing it, they're less likely to actually do it. So definitely keep them involved. Angie, Liza, anything about understanding and importance of keeping them informed?
I know that when I first started the club at Cape and Mount Carmel, every event I would take pictures and I sent it to our newspaper teacher, advisor, our yearbook advisor. I sent it to our principal, assistant principals. How our school is set up, we have a president who's kind of the mouthpiece for the sort of the public end. I would send it to those folks, and I just kept doing it repeatedly and repeatedly, and it got to the point where the administration was very thankful for those things and knew who we were. And so when it came time for asking some monies or, hey, can we do a regional conference, they were completely on board with us. And we have been able to garner funds for a few things because they knew what we were doing. They knew what we were all about.
When I was trying to start the club at Hoisington High School, we did not have one my freshman year. And seeing all those other clubs, post things like, hey, look at what we're doing, that was a great way for me to take that to my administration and say, hey, look what we could be doing. So it might not just be helping you, but it could be helping other people around the state who are trying to get new ideas, trying to find ways to show their administration like, hey, look what we could be doing. It's a great way to just get it out.
One last thing I want to point out on this slide is that both of Liza and Angie have talked about how their administration, they took KAY to the administration and they saw that. So you may be confused of how you can inform your administration. So Angie talked about earlier about how your sponsor is a great bridge and a great link to your administration and how it just goes right up the chain. Ooh, that was a tongue twister. But if you keep going up there and you communicate with your sponsor, it will become easier to communicate with the administration. So you can inform them through letters, You can do emails, you can do in-person meetings, you can call them, voicemails, take a sticky note, slap it on their door. Literally any way you can inform them will be effective as long as you do it. So now we're going to go on to our next slide and talk about non-supportive administration. So we talked about how important administration is. So what happens if you don't have supportive administration? What to do? So the best thing you can do with non-supportive administration is communicate. Communicate with your sponsor, communicate with other staff members, communicate with administration, work your way up that chain and take KAY to them. They physically cannot ignore you if you do it consistently. So build a relationship with them. The more likely you are to have a strong bond with administration and build that relationship, the less likely they are to be like, I like you and I like your club, but I don't want to do that for you. They won't do that if you build that relationship with them. And another way to do that is to communicate your frustrations with them and ask them why. Why are you not supporting KAY? What is your reason for not doing this? And be professional when doing it. The worst thing you can do is walk into that office, be sassy, be spicy, and be like, don't do that. Because then it's going to burn that bridge between you and that administration, and it's going to knock it all out. So another thing that is really good is you can connect with staff. Connect with us KLC staff, connect with Cheryl, get support and help from us to help you on your journey to find the administration support that your club needs. And get creative. Get creative in your ways of talking, communicating. Get creative in your ways of finding support from administration and getting there. I'm not going to lie to you, it will be difficult. If you have non-supportive administration, I'm sorry, and it sucks, and it'll be hard. But with a lot of work and dedication from your entire club, you can do it. Another thing you want to point out is to be positive, be optimistic, and you are stronger together. So as a club, as a unit, you are so much stronger than you are with just one person going to administration. Get the entire club involved in taking KAY to administration and then getting that support. Angie, Liza, do we have any points on non-support administration?
The buzzwords right now are social, emotional things. It's on KISA, it's part of the Kansas standards. And KAY, the program, fits many of those pieces. Engagement in communities, connecting, bonding, doing things for others. And so that KISA document, one of our groups, our KAY alumni group, has even put together an infograph. They've got information on how KAY fits into KISA, how it fits in social and emotional standards. And for some that might say, we don't need this, and you can use that document to show, hey, this is something that you can use to accredit your school, to accredit our school district. And that might be a little more enticing. It might be a carrot of, oh, wow, there really is something here. But it's just always positive, always involving them. Show them that your school needs KAY and would be hurt if it didn't have it.
If you get halfway through your school year and you're thinking, man, I still don't have administration support. I've done all the things that they said in that video that I watched, and I just don't know what else to do. Just reach out to some of us or reach out to Cheryl. Use your resources, and someone is it'll come through. It'll happen. You just have to have that dedication and not give up.
One of the biggest things I want to hit right here is that you are not alone. You're not alone in your club. You are not alone in your school. And you're not alone because you belong to KAY. And with KAY comes the whole KAY family. You have all of us, and you are not alone. So use us. Use us as resources. Use us as anything you need to use us as. Use it.
And it kind of all goes back to his beginning, just effectively working with those sponsors, working with administration, or putting a positive spin. We've got so much to offer. So the big thing, communicate. Communicate with your sponsor, your administration, your club, communicate with any of us. All of us wish you the very best going into this school year. Yes, there's unknowns. Yes, there are things that we haven't quite figured out because we don't know the path that things are going to go. But KAY is all about adapting, and it's all about communicating, and it's all about the attitude. You know, at K Camp, we get to do things, and it's all about attitude. That is what we can control. And so with that, I wish you all the best for this upcoming school year. It is going to be great. It's going to be creative. And bottom line, it's going to be fun.